Hello and welcome to the webinar 7 Tips to Have Software Tested Without Specification, hosted by QATestLab. Thanks for joining us today. QATestLab starts a series of the webinars dedicated to QA and testing. We are going to talk about specifics of software testing, QA team management, test approaches, and tools. We will analyze tricky cases on real projects. Besides, we will tell at what stage of software development testing should be implemented, and how to select a proper provider of QA services to build long-term business relations. We will try to prepare the most helpful and interesting topics for you to understand nuances of software testing and avoid any pitfalls. If you have any suggestions about the webinar topic, please write to marketing@QATestlab.com. So today I'll be your speaker. I'm Zhezdrina, Program Manager in QATestLab. Today, everything in the world is changing rapidly. New technologies are being invented and new challenges are emerging. Somewhere a new idea is born, which finds its inspiration. Then the development of a new product begins. During its implementation, new ideas and new requirements appear. The initial documentation quickly becomes obsolete, and their constant updating takes a lot of time and effort. Then it comes to a point where you need to start testing based on requirements. Since the requirements are outdated, all the forces are thrown on the documentation update. At the same time, the product continues to expand and adapt to user requests. So, have any of you experienced a slight stress from the fact that the development implemented not fully or not exactly? Requirements are changed constantly and there's not enough time to document requirements. So, is there a way to have software tested with no or minimal specification? Let me please share with you the steps that can help more effectively start the testing process on the project without documentation. The first step is to share general information about the product. Tell the QA team why the product or solution being built, what problems does the product solve, who are the end users of the product, and where they are located. Based on the information about location, testers can select the environment close to the real user's environment. At what stage of development is the product? Is it just the beginning of the product creation and the testing team will be part of the development process, or it's the final stage and testers have to perform acceptance testing? When must the product be delivered? The release date influences on the amount of work that should be done before the assigned date. What development process was used? Is it an agile approach or Kanban or continuous delivery? Testing strategy depends on the development process. Let the project manager, business analytic or tech lead make a quick demo of the application. If the product is complex, the second round of answering to questions may be required. The first demo can take around 1 hour, but it explains a lot, allows to better understand the system and avoid misunderstanding of the functions and possible details. To help the team get acquainted with the system, further, provide them with any possible documentation or written information. Even if it seems that you do not have anything, it can be even originally written requirements or backlog in agile projects. It can be user stories or use cases, mock-ups or design files, a help file, even FAQ. It can be outdated test cases or previous version of the product, diagrams, any information written on the knee or in a Confluence. If you are not sure that this information is enough, this is already something that team can begin with. Through comparison with the current implementation, they can ask questions or enter bug reports. Besides, any web application will certainly have some commonly used features. Web forms, user authorization, which can be tested based on the tester experience as a software user. User testing allows to see the products through the eyes of the user. Owners, designers, or developers quickly get to the point where they can't actually see or experience the software products as the first-time users. They became so familiar with what they have created that they just can't see what might be confusing or cause misunderstanding. The more unknown a user is to the system, the more preferred he is for the user testing. In this case, testers don't need any information about the system and don't need a predefined scenarios. They just report everything which isn't obvious or confusing. We all know that there will never be enough time to do all the tests. What is important at the end is that the critical areas of the software are tested first and most thoroughly. Risk-based testing uses risk to prioritize and emphasize the appropriate tests during the test execution. The next questions can help to define the risks. For example, which functions are critical for the success of the product? If in a banking system, one of the money transfers is received by another client, then this is a critical error. On the other hand, the text which isn't fully visible in the tooltip, it's a minor issue. Next question could be how visible is a problem in a function or attribute for customers, users, people outside. It can be catastrophic when the problem would cause the computer to stop, maybe even lead to crashes in the environment. Such failures may deal with large financial losses or even damage human life. A failure can be damaging. The program may not stop, but data may be lost or corrupted, or functionality may be lost until the program or computer is restarted. A failure can be hindering. The user is forced to work around to more difficult actions to reach the same results. For example, to use a different kind of search in the system. A failure can be annoying. The problem doesn't affect functionality, but rather make the product less attractive to the user or customer. However, the customer can live with this problem. Next question is how often is a function used? Damage is dependent on how often a function or feature is used. Some functions may be used every day, others a few times. Some functions may be used by many, some by few users. Give priority to the functions used often and heavily. The number of requests per day may be an idea helping in finding priorities. The worst areas to pay attention are the ones having most defects. These areas are complex areas with complex logic, complex control structure, a large data flow, etc. Changed areas, when changes are done under time pressure and analysis isn't completely done. Many changes are also a symptom of badly done analysis. Impact of new technology, solutions, methods, like when programmers are using new tools, methods, and technology experience. It can be impact of the number of people involved. The more people are involved in a task, the larger is the overhead for communication and the chance that things go wrong. Errors with many defects before. Defect fixing leads to changes, which lead to new defects, and defect-prone errors tend to persist. Once the risk areas, impact, and priorities have been defined, a strategy can be planned to optimize the value of the testing budget. As in the case of testing the new functionality, in order to make sure that the tester has correctly understood the essence, tester must provide the test documentation. It can be in the form of a checklist or test case. This will immediately show if there are gaps in understanding. If we talk about full testing, the team can start with the high-level documentation, that is checklists. Checklists are useful tools to ensure test coverage of the common tasks. Benefits of creating checklists. Just enough for testing, easy to maintain as things change, easy to improve as time goes by, details will be added as you go. Another kind of test documentation, which is a step-by-step scenario and a detailed description of the expected results, is a test case. To start working on the test case, divide the whole system into small modules. This way, You will do deep testing of each part of the software, making test coverage maximum. Among mentioned test documentation, test summary report is one of the reports which are prepared after the testing is completed. As part of daily status reports, daily testing results will be shared with involved stakeholders every day. But test summary report provides a consolidated report on the testing performed so far for the project. A typical test report template will contain such information as testing scope, what was in scope, what was out of scope, items not tested. Metrics, like number of test cases planned versus executed, or number of test cases passed and failed, or number of defects identified and their status and severity. It includes performed types of testing, for example, smoke testing, or system, integration, regression testing. It's also important to remember that test results are an indicator of quality. They don't improve the software quality. If the team finds during testing that a certain model or area of the application is particularly trending to cause errors, don't only focus on fixing the bugs. Instead, take the time to look into the development process and work with the team members to understand why that area has more bugs. The next step is to ensure continuous learning of the product by creating, by sharing information about the users, objects, workflows, product properties. Share with them information about future plans and important changes, issues from support and real users, marketing materials, or competitors' products. Would be great to have some interviews with product owners and stakeholders. By providing information about how users use the product and how would you like the product to evolve, you will help testers become experts in the product. That's all tips that we have for today. I hope this information was useful and showed that when there's a project without requirements, proper planning in advance can lead the testing process to success. Tight communications with client and developers and knowing what their expectations are and take their feedback frequently will fill the gaps in specification. So thank you for staying with us.